Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio begins now. Hear the best in new music, artist interviews, stories from the road, and more. You are now backstage, and here's your host, Mothership.
Hey everybody, if you haven't heard of Crimson Overtone, let me introduce you.
Well, I have here with me Crimson Overtone. You guys live near me. You're in Marietta. If there's somebody from Georgia here, Marietta. We got to get it right. So y'all are just up the road from me. And I just met recently Rob at a house show. You were hanging out with Tricord.
Yeah.
And so he says, hey, we should do an interview. And I said, hey, yeah, we should. So let's start with who does what. Evan, you are a guitarist, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me a little bit about what you play for the band and how you started playing guitar.
Well, I started out with the band playing basically rhythm guitar. We have branched out and added more guitar since. So basically I was the guitarist for a while. And now I'm actually moving into lead guitar. So playing a little bit less rhythm and a little bit more lead and teaching myself as I go. Started out with music in general when I was about 9. Played piano for a couple of years and then got into saxophone all through high school and played in a couple of worship bands and then had my own band. I actually traded my saxophone for my acoustic guitar.
Oh.
And my first guitar. Yeah, I was 15 when I did that. And I learned to start playing guitar on my mom's old classical guitar, which was pretty cool. And so anyway, once I went into guitar, that was pretty much it. I wanted to jam with people. I wanted to play jazz, and nobody wanted to jam. I was like, what's wrong with you people? We don't want to write stuff. We want to play stuff and then write it down. But anyway, so with guitar, it's a whole different world. You play stuff, you bang your head, and you have a good time, and it's been like that ever since.
Christina, tell me a little bit about you and how you came to be with the band.
Yeah, so it was entirely on accident. I was in a small group at my church, in our recovery program, and I've written songs since I was little, just little things here and there. It wasn't something I ever considered too much because, music was something it was just fun. It was something I did kind of on the side. I'd gone to college for it, but I gave it up and was not interested. I was just going to pursue a completely different path. And I felt the Lord telling me to play one of those songs that I'd written forever ago for the small group, and they liked it and they wanted me to record it. And so I was like, well, I don't know anything about that, but I feel like probably our music director would. So I went and talked to Rob thinking he'd help me maybe play an instrument in the background of an iPhone recording, and he completely misunderstood what I was talking about and instead invited me over and introduced me to this guy, Evan. And they were like, yeah, we're going to put you on the radio. I was like, no, you're not.
Yes, we are.
Yes, you did.
The rest is history.
And the rest is history. Okay. Well, Lindsay, tell us about you now. You're new to the band.
Well, I started playing music, 11 or 12. Of course, I started in school band, playing trumpet, euphonium, baritone. My parents got me my first acoustic guitar. I guess I was about 12 or 13 then, and ended up quitting school band just because I love guitar so much. And eventually moved over to bass. These guys decided to, I don't know what they were thinking, but they asked me to play bass or come try out, meet everybody. And really, I just ended up falling in love with these guys. Their hearts for Jesus, and just changed the world,
Well, what about you, Rob? Tell me about how you got started.
I don't know if you know this, Miss Cindy, but Evan is actually my dad.
No, I did not.
Yeah. So when I was real little, he was in another band, and they would go and play shows, and I would be their roadie, and I would, carry the equipment, or attempt to. I was little, but I would travel with them, and I would help carry stuff, and I'd be, backstage and everything. And when I was about 7, I decided I wanted to pick up guitar. And so he taught me some. He taught me what he knew. I had some professional lessons. I had music theory in high school. And then I picked up the bass because of church when I was 21, 22, because it was just a needed position. And I was like, well, it's not that much different from guitar. So I picked it up and started playing bass, and got involved with the recovery program at church. and that's where I met Christina, and you heard how that interaction happened. I started playing bass for Crimson Overtone originally when we first started, and then I had the crazy idea of why don't we go in a heavier direction, and I start playing 7-string rhythm guitar. Evan takes over lead, and we get a bass player, and then that's when Lindsay got involved. So that was my mini transitions from guitar to bass to now back to guitar, where I think I plan to stay for a while.
And our drummer is not here because he's ill. So unfortunately, we will miss out. Is his name Alex?
Alex, yes.
Yeah, we'll catch him next time round, maybe.
He and I played on the same worship team. We happened to be looking for a drummer. I happened to ask if he was interested, and it turned out he'd been in a death metal band. So I was like, well, perfect, you're in.
What would you say Crimson Overtone's genre is?
Oh my gosh, we've done so much music.
All kinds.
We've probably changed genres, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times. I don't even know. The reason for that is we have a wide range of tastes here, from classically trained theater operatic to he doesn't want me to call it classic rock, but
Nirvana is not classic
like
rock,
90s,
and neither is Alice in Chains.
90s and early 2000s type style, and then I bring in the more modern metal type gent type stuff, and so we've just kind of all collaborated on different things, and so different genres we've attempted. The direction we're headed in right now, me and Christina were talking about, we don't really even know what to call the genre. Mm-hmm. It's some type of mix between a modern metal sound, mm-hmm. mixed with a little bit of prog, mixed with a little bit of that
post-grunge, I'd call it.
Yeah, grunge sound.
Grunge.
Yeah. So I don't, whatever you want to call it, that mixing of genres, that's what Crimson Overtone is.
Put it in a pot, stir it up.
Yeah, there's a little thrash in there too from time to time, and it just depends on the motivation. Is the modern sound is a very clean, precise, good, full, punchy, aggressive sound. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the classic guys, not classic rock, don't hurt me. If you look at the classic guys like Metallica, they just write good music. The construction of the songs itself is fantastic. All of those old guys that have been doing it for a long time, I mean, you can go with any of them. That's what makes them good. And so to take all this modern technique that technology is allowing, and then mixing that with good songwriting, that's kind of the short version, I guess, of what we're trying to come up with. And I have no idea what to call it. Yeah. None of us know what to call it.
So, Rob, you mentioned gent. So you're like a Periphery fan?
Yeah. Tesseract, obviously, get in their breakdowns.
Animals as Leaders?
Oh,
yeah.
They're insane. Yeah.
Okay. We see where you're coming from. So you've got like a really interesting spectrum of sound.
Yes, absolutely.
That is cool.
Very wide.
I think that the secret weapon, though, is the fact that she was classically trained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell that in the vocals. Your sound is very classic sounding, but yet you have the rock as well. And then there was I was listening to one, and who was it growling? Wait, that was Dad? Evan. Wow. I was like, wait a minute. What happened here?
He took us all by surprise. I don't think any of us expected him to do that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I got a kick out of the technique it takes for the guys to do that. I was watching some stuff from Lorna Shore, and I don't know how that guy does that. Any of those guys that could do that. Who is Convictions?
Yeah.
Mike Felker.
Yeah.
Man.
He's wild. He's crazy.
I'd love to see, to be able to talk to those guys and see how the heck they do that. It's just fascinating.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So you think you're going to land heavier?
Definitely.
Definitely.
The last thing of that the one that you're talking about, Dead Men Walking, is probably starting us on the descent of settling into what our sound is.
Okay. Christina, you just had a baby.
Yes.
Back in December. How has that affected you, or has it?
So I'm technically still on leave right now till the end of March, but definitely still working and practicing at home where I can. And this is where I get to be a little nerdy, because the anatomy of the throat and the anatomy of the voice just fascinates me. It always has. I had a C-section, so, yay. So the muscles that you use for singing primarily, that's all down in the abdomen. So all of that is being rebuilt from the ground up. My stamina is definitely not what it was. It's taking a lot of work to build myself back up. But the other thing I didn't know is with nursing, with breastfeeding, because of the hormones that are released when you're feeding your child, it literally drops your vocal range. So you'd go from like being classed as a soprano, right? And so then it drops me into more of that mezzo territory. All of the vocal folds, the muscles in the throat are relaxed. And so I'm singing much lower than I was previously. And my high notes, I'm having to work a lot harder to build back up. So it's going to be interesting to see how it affects things moving forward, at least right now. But the kind of cool thing is that once I'm out of that phase of life, I'll get to keep that low range that I develop from the relaxed vocal folds, but then can rebuild that high range. So ideally, post baby, that range will be extended with hard work and, keeping up good technique.
I read something on your bio, and it said, one of the most incredible things about Crimson Overtone is that we are an assortment of mismatched misfits. So who's going to tell the story?
Somebody said that about us in an interview once, and I said, I love that. I think it was Rock Salt, Patrick from 3 Days Under. He's like, you guys are a bunch of mismatched misfits. And they're like, you can't say that on air.
That
and
sounds
I said, no,
like
that's
Patrick.
Absolutely correct. Because we come from such a wide variety of backgrounds. A lot of bands, they all went to the same school or went to the same church, or, we came from everywhere. And just like our sound, we're a little bit of a Heinz 57, if you will.
Yes, we are. Definitely.
Take Phil.
Now, did you all meet at Celebrate Recovery, or is that just something you have in common?
Well, that is true. Rob, myself, and Evan, we all met at the same Celebrate Recovery, and then I met Alex at a different one. Lindsay's the oddball. He came to us from
Somewhere.
somewhere across the internet.
They ordered me online.
Yeah. He's our Wish bass player. Originally, when the band first got started, it came from all of us knowing each other at Celebrate Recovery.
How does that affect your music? Anyone want to share their story?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it definitely affects all of us differently, because we were obviously all there for different reasons, personal reasons and stuff that we were all working through, and definitely inspires our music even to this day. I was in Celebrate Recovery for a multitude of things. Pick something, I was probably there for it. But I was also blessed to be able to be on the worship team and be the music director for the worship team for Celebrate Recovery. And so I was able to go through this recovery process, this 12-step process, while at the same time using my love for music in that process, in that environment. And again, like, what Christine was saying earlier, that's how we met, because she was singing on the team. She was one of our worship leaders. She was one of our vocalists, and she can give her testimony about what that was for her at Celebrate Recovery and how that affected her. But it definitely had a big effect on my music and how I processed music. Going through that recovery process definitely made me have a better understanding of why music therapy is a thing. And I even still use that today. Like, I'll be angry about something and I'll go and write a song, or I'll feel inspired and happy about something and I'll go and write a riff or two or whatever. So that's how Celebrate Recovery had an effect on me, not just with my testimony as far as who I am and the kind of man that I am now, but also even with this band and how we met.
I was in there, like Rob said, for a variety of things. And I had the privilege of running the soundboard, mixing the sound for the band. And that's where I really got to hear what Christine is capable of. And my goodness, it actually kind of fits the name too, because I got to run in the soundboard. I have the ability to create music myself. It's what's being processed out in the room and what people are feeling, not just hearing. And music therapy, I'm running out of words. I can't really explain what it meant to me to be able to do that. And it just brought a whole lot of life. And so it's kind of the hope that I have in playing this now has a lot to do with the connection that I had during those worship moments where the band was on point. Christina and whoever else was on stage was on point, and being that third party, but still having my hand in the mix was just something else. That experience, along with many others, coming up, listening to music, is one of the reasons that I even do this. You know, you can identify with somebody where words don't work. So lyrics, you have to condense thoughts into several words, and that allows the audience to kind of interpret and personalize it. It's not so specific, but it still is. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually started Celebrate Recovery when I was in Florida. I know I shared kind of the whole nutshell story on our social media recently, but I had moved to Florida to kind of just get away from all the stuff that I was going through, and kind of went there hoping to sort of fade into obscurity and let my life be ruined of my own accord instead of someone else's. So I get down there and I started working for copyright purposes. I started working for a very well-known mouse, and I really liked working for the mouse. So I wanted to keep my job, and that meant that I needed to get clean and get sober and all those things. So I started going to Celebrate Recovery there because they had groups that weren't just for substance abuse. That wasn't really my issue at the time. I was dealing with just a lot of the other coping skills that are developed in abusive situations. And that's where I found out for the first time that I was abused, that the things that happened to me weren't normal. And it turns out they had a group for that. So I was able to go and find other people that had been in a similar situation as I had and get support for that specific issue. So then when I moved back to Georgia to finish college and start my new music-free career, that didn't work. But when I went back to college for education, I came back up and I knew that I needed to stay in Celebrate Recovery. I wanted to go through the actual step study process, the actual 12 steps, and get the deeper healing that I knew I needed. And I mean, obviously that's where I met these guys, but it also, I mean, it taught me so much about how to process things. It taught me a lot about not just what I developed while I was in the abusive situation that I was in, but the things that I developed afterwards, the anger and the resentment that I was holding on to, helped me learn how to process those, helped me learn how to process forgiveness, helped me learn how to channel those into healthier avenues, which, then ultimately brings us back to music in the end. As both Rob and Evan have said, it's a place where you can channel the feelings, but not just the anger and the despair, but also the hope and the restoration that's possible. Because, good music resolves, right? It's okay to have dissonant chords. It's okay to have tension. But if it doesn't resolve, then you're just left with the mess. So it's kind of a beautiful thing how it all ties back together. So now we can write these pieces that lyrically, musically bring a lot of tension. I mean, it's the perfect genre for it, right? Tension and grit and heaviness, and we can talk about the weight of the world, but we can also bring resolution that not everybody in the genre necessarily can.
Okay. For people who've never heard of Crimson Overtone,
what song is the song you would say, go listen to this, this is us?
That's hard,
man,
because it has to be 2 songs currently.
Okay, well then we'll do 2 songs. That's fine.
Because it is definitely our latest release,
Dead Man Walking,
but it is also very definitely Coffin Black.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because both of those songs capture all of the aspects of who we are and where we're going. From an audio standpoint, a lyrical standpoint, and we have a video with Coffin Black, so even a video standpoint, I think those 2 songs would probably best describe who we are and where we're going, unless you guys have another suggestion.
Nope, sounds good to me.
You guys have announced something really unique this week when it comes to labels. Who wants to spill those beans?
Lindsay, you haven't talked very much about spill the beans.
Yeah, we had an awesome opportunity getting to sign with Resurrection Records with Mr. Aaron Michaels.
Whoop, whoop.
Great guy already. I
Love
mean,
that dude.
He's just awesome, and his heart for Jesus, just wanting to spread the word, spread the gospel, and that all pours out on us as well, which is pretty cool.
No.
I think instantaneously, like every one of us are like, yeah, I'm on board with this guy.
Yep.
We've all kind of been burned in the past before, one way or another, whether it was on a musical standpoint, like in the industry, or whether it was just in our personal lives. So even going into this, we were like, oh, let's read the let's like look at everything. But even then, it was like we read it once, we talked to him like once, and we were like, okay. Yep. Like it's just the presence of the spirit that he has when he is in the room or on the phone or whatever. It's very there. And when he talks about what his passion is and where his heart is, specifically with starting Resurrection Records, it's very much, number one, about spreading the gospel and about, Christ and everything. But secondary to that, and that he also makes a priority, it's about the artists and then the listeners and the consumers as well. It's about being there for us as artists and supporting us and helping us with what we need to be able to take the gospel to people, which was a huge thing for us, why we were just like, absolutely, let's do it. Because he's doing things the way that they probably should be done by everybody, in my opinion.
Well said.
It was a yes first thing.
Too easy to say yes.
You guys are hitting the ground running. So what does this mean for the band, and what opportunities have come up because of it?
More shows. That's the first thing that we've been talking about. I've been talking to him about new releases and what that's going to look like. He wants to do promotions. He wants to do radio stuff. He wants to get us in connection with people that, let's just be honest, we would not be able to get, connected with by ourselves. Yeah. He wants to give us advice. He wants to help us. He wants us to be better. He wants us to grow. He wants us to reach our full potential that he already sees that we know we can get to. But I guess it's like we don't see ourselves the way that he sees us already. And so he's already pushing that, not just to us, saying those things to us, but pushing that narrative to anybody he talks to about us. He's reached out to festivals. Like what he said, we're going to be playing a lot more this year, like out in shows and stuff. So it's, and
hopefully
all
a
around.
lot more locally too.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
8-hour trips are cool and all, but
not only did he pick up Crimson Overtone, he picked up Tricord. And it just so happens that Tricord needed an extra person on their team. So tell us what you're doing and who is it that's doing it?
We all know it's Rob.
Right. Yeah. I've known Tricord for a long time, and me and Jermaine quickly became very close friends. And it was a show that Crimson Overtone and Tricord were playing together. And he asked me, I was like, hey, man, will you jump on bass? I just want to be off bass and more on the mic for this show. And I was like, yeah, sure. That was kind of it right there. Every single chance he got to ask me to play bass, I did. And for any of y'all out there that have seen a, Tricord show the last couple of years where I've been on bass and he's been just singing, his energy level is ridiculous. It's all over the place. And so I started playing more and more with them. I went to Texas with them. I went to New York with them. And out of nowhere, on my heart was just like, why don't you just play bass with them all the time? And I was like, that's a cool idea, but no, whatever. But it kept sitting there. It was on my mind all the time and everything. And then I was getting ready to go out of town with them to a youth camp to do worship and stuff like that with them. And I was talking to my wife about it. And out of nowhere, I had never said this to my wife. She just says, why don't you just become their permanent bass player? And I'm like, I never told you that, but that's been on me. Like I've been feeling that for like the last 2 months now. And so I went to Jermaine and the other guys about it, and they were like, dude, we were already planning on asking you to do that anyway. And I'm like, well, that's the Lord talking to me. That's the Lord talking to my wife. And then that's the Lord putting on them. 3 strikes is it, right? So
that's it. Done deal.
Yeah, it was a done deal. I talked to them about it. We all love Tricord, so they didn't have any issues with it. And so, yeah, I'm playing guitar for Crimson Overtone and playing bass for Tricord. And so I'm doubly signed to Resurrection Records.
The man is committed now.
Yeah. I'm kind of all in, aren't I?
You are.
Well, yes, it's great. We're talking about, we're signed to a record label. It's fun to talk about. Oh, I'm in 2 bands. How, so busy, and I'm doing this and everything that we've got going on. That's great. I just want to mention how amazing the ministry has been for us on a spiritual level. We've been able to talk to some of the most amazing people that are in different states or in different cities that otherwise we would not have been able to talk to. We've been able to encourage people that otherwise we would not have been able to encourage. And I'm not saying we're out here changing the world and everything, and we're, bringing thousands to Christ or anything like that. But even the couple of people who have reached out to us on social media or even gotten in touch with Christina, personally and said, you made a difference. It's only been a few people, but it's like every single time we hear somebody say that, it's like, wow, like this band, again, cool. We've traveled. Cool. We've played this show. Cool. We've played with these people. We've opened up for these people. Cool. We're on a record label. But like the ministry, though, is like just what overwhelms us, I think, over everything else combined that we're able to do.
It already makes it worth it.
Oh, yeah. 100%. All the blood, sweat, and tears, the arguments amongst each other, because that happens. Working our job schedules, completely uprooting some of our family schedules on personal levels, things like that, money being spent, stuff like that. It's 100% worth it because of the ministry that we get to do. And I just wanted to throw that out there because I just want to make sure that when people listen to this, they understand that that is our focal point at all times, no matter where we go, where we end up, or anything like that.
We're going to have a landing page on the Solid Rock Radio station, and it'll have all of your social media links. But is there anything you wanted to highlight, Christina?
As far as social media and the stuff that's out there, we did recently, leading up to the Resurrection Records reveal, we had everybody share a little bit of their testimony. It's kind of the first time we've done anything like that where everybody actually personally got on the camera and shared a little bit about themselves. So, I'd say if you want to know a little bit more about us, that's a really good place to start. Everybody pretty much texted me when they sent me the videos and said, this was really hard to do. I didn't like doing this.
It was.
And even myself, when I was getting ready to post mine, I was like, am I sure I want to do this? Like, do I? I was like, maybe I'll post it at like 8 a.m. before the algorithm window opens.
So she posted her own at the worst time.
Right.
I love it.
Well, it's hard to talk about yourself, but it's even harder sometimes to share the hard things, the brokenness and the places of our lives that still feel kind of dirty, But the fact that each of us still did it, everybody still got me their videos and we posted them all throughout the week. And the response we've gotten to those has been really just encouraging to me, that people are reaching out and saying, hey, thank you for sharing. I think under Rob's post, there were some people that said, thank you so much for sharing this. I appreciated hearing this. Under Alex's, thank you for sharing. Under mine, thank you for sharing. It's a good reminder that, first of all, everybody's got a story and every story matters. Just because I'm the lead singer, it doesn't mean that these guys are, less important or have less of a story. Honestly, these guys are all way cooler than I am. but yeah, I would recommend starting there. That's a good place to kind of get to know us a little bit and see that we're just people. Just because you have a cool band and a special label or cool instruments, like, it doesn't make you a special person. We're just people.
What platform are those posted on?
That is on both Facebook and Instagram, and I'm trying to get them on YouTube Shorts as well, but Facebook and Instagram for now. I think right at the top of our page still.
Okay. What are your favorite road snacks?
You just had to throw a curveball, didn't you?
Well, I don't know how much y'all know me, but I am a snack bringer, and everybody expects me to know what every band likes to eat. So here I am.
That's a lot of bands to keep up with.
I got a lot of them in here.
Okay, so I think, oh my gosh, recently it actually changed to oranges. Oranges, yeah. Specifically the really big ones. Those really.
You like the big navel oranges?
Yes, that's what they are. Yeah, navel oranges. Yep.
Okay.
That's my favorite right there. I can eat those all day.
Like, if I'm going on a road trip, I'm bringing pretzels. That's what I'm bringing. The stick kind, though, not like the twisty ones. The sticks. The sticks.
The fat sticks or the skinny sticks?
The little sticks.
The skinny sticks.
I'll eat anything. I'll put it down. You put it in front of my face, it's in my stomach. But peanut butter M&Ms.
Okay.
You cannot beat.
Thanks.
There you go.
I'll go through 2 big family-sized bags and feel awful after. But,
Same.
That's a hard one for me. I don't really know. I'm kind of like him. I eat almost anything. I'll go into Quick Trip and I'll be like, okay, well, that looks interesting, and I'll get whatever it is. I won't turn down Little Debbie snacks of pretty much any kind.
Okay.
My favorite candy
Little
right
Debbie's.
now is probably Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And I'll never turn down a Payday bar.
Okay. Well, there you go. See, that was easy. It's great to get to know all you guys.
Awesome knowing you as well. Thank you so much for talking to us and hanging out.
Yeah, it was great.
Glad to do it.
Hopefully we'll see you in a couple weeks.
I hope so. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more great music and check out my blog page on the Solid Rock Radio website for my guests' social media links. If you've missed any of my past interviews, you can find them uploaded to podcast.solidrockradio.org. Have a wonderful week and let's be kind to one another.